1. About a year or so ago, I heard a very timid knock on the door to my room at around 2 or 3 a.m. I opened the door, and standing there was my brother, 19. He looked visibly shaken, and he asked me, "Were you just outside a minute ago?" "No," I responded. "I haven't been outside in a while. Why?" My brother turned white as a sheet, and he didn't respond right away. Needless to say, this really threw me off. Not a whole lot bothers my little brother. He's the kind of person who, if you kick open the door to his room with a gun in hand, he'll nonchalantly ask, "What do you want?" He can whisk away any fear with logic. Any sound, noise, or shape has a simple, logical explanation to him. I'm the same way. We're not really paranormal people. So when I eventually got out of him, "I think there's someone outside," I figured it was human. That's logical. What didn't make sense was our area. We live in a fairly secluded neighborhood. There hasn't been a crime in the area in years, not even a stolen Amazon package. So someone outside was a surprise to me. Regardless, I grabbed a weapon and went to investigate. Our kitchen looks out onto our backyard. There's several large windows that allow you to see almost the entirety of my backyard. Natural lighting from the moon is almost perfect to where if you're standing in the kitchen, you can see everything in the yard, but you cannot be seen in the house. I've seen plenty of animals roam through the backyard at night while I was making coffee or getting a glass of water. Now, my brother has also reported seeing things that looked human in the backyard before, so this wasn't new. But what was odd was that I've never really seen him this scared before. So I go into the kitchen and look outside. Nothing. I turn on the floodlights and start to look around the yard. Nothing. I go back inside and talk to my brother. I don't remember the exact conversation, but it was something like, "There's nothing out there that I could find anyway," I told him. "Oh," he said. "I could have sworn I saw someone." The color had returned to his face, and he was acting normal again, which put me at ease. "What were they doing?" I asked. "Just standing there," he said. "That's weird. Well, you must have just been seeing things." Or they ran off. I started to walk back into my room when my brother started talking again. "I don't think it was human." "Well, we don't have bears or anything around here. What do you think it was?" I asked him. "I don't know," he said. "Its eyes were red." We just sort of left it at that. We both just kind of decided it was a figment of his imagination, that he was tired or something. We went to bed, but neither of us slept well that night. The next night, I was awoken in the middle of the night by something. I'm a really light sleeper, so honestly, it could have been anything. I don't really remember, but I think it was a computer restarting. It makes a loud beep when it does so. I don't know if that's important. Anyway, I left my blinds and my bedroom window open because it was raining and I like the sound of the rain. However, the rain had stopped and it was getting really cold in my room. So I got out of bed and got up to close the window. I glanced outside, and that's when I saw something. Something that looked like a person was just standing on the fence about 15 feet from my window. It was looking at me, and it had red eyes. I was so startled I fell back onto my bed. I got back up and looked out the window again, but I couldn't see anything. So I chalked it up to my mind playing tricks on me, closed my window, and went back to bed. The last time, and this time I don't doubt what I saw, I was going to the kitchen to get a glass of water in the middle of the night. I glanced over and out my sliding glass door, and that's when I saw it. It was about 7 feet tall, made of what looked like smoke. It had human features, but none were defined. It had bright, glowing, reddish-orange eyes, but it wasn't looking at me. It was looking at my sliding glass door, and swiping at it, as if trying to figure out how to open the door and get into my house. I snuck back into my room, grabbed a thing of salt that I had from dinner earlier, and a Bible. My only real experience with the paranormal is the show Supernatural. With my weapons in hand, I snuck back out there, only to find that the thing was gone, vanished without a trace. I never saw anything like it again, and I really hope I never do. My brother and I talked about it a couple months later, and apparently, the night I saw something out my window, he saw something out his window, at roughly the same time in a similar circumstance. He also thought he saw something in the backyard again just prior to my door experience. He didn't say anything because he didn't want to deal with it. Kind of speaks to his personality. Demons? Ain't nobody got time for that. After that, neither of us saw anything again, and we hope to keep it that way. Any ideas as to what these might have been, or why it was trying to get into our house? 2. Okay, so this happened a few months ago, and I haven't told anyone, apart from my girlfriend, until now. My girlfriend and I live in fairly central London, in a recently refurbished flat that we leased for not much considering the location. Anyway, my girlfriend was going out at 9 or 10 p.m. to have drinks with her friends, as they had recently finished a mutual work project, so I was left at home alone for the first time in weeks. We live in the top apartment in our building, so what happened still confuses me. I was watching a show on our TV, I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine, in the living room, when I heard what sounded like a cough in the corridor. I was of course frightened and turned around immediately, but the light was off and I saw nothing. I assumed it was nothing, but I was very wary and felt cold as I closed the door to the corridor. I continued to watch TV for around 15 minutes or so when I felt the urge to piss, like uncontrollably about to wet my pants. This had never and has never happened to me since that day, but due to some adrenaline, I think I thought past this, and just went through the door and ran to the loo quickly. I have a kind of window on the ceiling of my toilet, which is blurred so as to block most sunlight from directly hitting me. But this is when the encounter happened. I hadn't flushed the toilet as I felt uncomfortable with such a loud noise while home alone. I don't know why. It's just a phobia of mine. And I was washing my hands, wiping my hands in the towel on the wall, when I heard a shout above my ceiling, on the roof that only my flat has access to via ladder. It sounded like a man's voice, but quite high-pitched. And I didn't understand what I had heard. But at that moment I heard 3 fast knocks on my toilet door. I heard a triplet rhythm and my girlfriend's voice saying something like, "You nearly done in there? Want to see you, come on." I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking, and I called my girlfriend, and asked her where she was, as I had never heard the main door open. She said she was nearly home, and that she doesn't have the keys, so to let her in. I was petrified, unable to move at that moment. I decided that I was going to sprint out the toilet and open the front door and wait for my girlfriend. My adrenaline pumping through my body, I opened the toilet door. But as I saw the shadowy face of my girlfriend smiling at me, I froze up and couldn't move. Basically, I was looking at a dark gray version of her, but with larger, black eyes and darker hair. At that moment, I heard a voice just outside my door asking to be let in, and I knew it was my real girlfriend. I remember feeling extremely cold, as I couldn't not keep eye contact with the shadow person. And as I glanced at the door, it was gone. I broke down as I let her in and explained what happened, vomiting halfway through due to the shock. We are planning to move in a week or 2, as she believed me. But I have no idea what it was I experienced. This hasn't happened since. If anyone has any explanations or similar experiences, please let me know. 3. Hello everyone. Well, I live in an old house. It's around 100 years old, I believe. It's in one of the oldest neighborhoods in my city, and my mom, who's almost 60, used to live in it when she was a child, so it's definitely old. I've never experienced anything paranormal, like seeing a ghost or anything like that, but I've always been quite paranoid about everything. So right now I'm sitting at my computer. My house is this kind of mono-ambient, where the living room is also the dining room, and it's right next to the kitchen. And there are 3 doors. 2 to go different bedrooms, and 1 goes to the bathroom. My parents run a shop in front of the house, and there's this part of the house which is mainly used as a deposit, on the back and in the front, right next to the shop. It's practically my dad's room with all of his stuff. I've also got a kinda big backyard with lots of junk in it. Okay. So my concern is that I've been using my PC up until like 5 AM these last weeks because I'm on vacation. And I've started sensing something. When everyone's sleeping and I'm the only one awake, I start feeling some kind of presence. It feels like the air becomes heavier too, and I don't quite like it. I have 2 cats, and they usually sleep on top of the chairs or the table, which are in the same room that I'm in right now. But many times I've seen them alert, looking at some random corner for up to 1 minute non-stop. One of them is always uneasy at these hours. He starts wandering around the house, staring at different things, and it unsettles me a bit. I may be crazy and imagining things, but I sometimes hear different sounds coming from somewhere in the house, especially the shop in front of the house. Things like a chair moving a bit, a bag sound, something slightly hitting a bottle. Maybe those are bugs, right? Right now, minutes before writing this, I was with my computer in the dark and I heard something similar to a whisper. Literally like if someone was whispering to me, so I turned on the lights and went back to sit here. Also, as I'm writing this, a faucet in the bathroom started randomly dripping, so you get the idea of what I'm talking about. These aren't the only things I've experienced. Many times while I was in my bed trying to sleep, I heard something scratching my mattress, and last night I heard like if something dropped on top of my bed, but to my surprise there was nothing. A year ago or so, it was a rainy day, and we were talking about my late great-grandmother, when a light bulb that had stopped working like a year ago started flicking. It had never happened after that again. My sister sleeps in the same room as me, and she has told me that she has heard scratchings on the walls multiple times, usually around 3 AM, which is really freaky. Now, if you read all this, well, you're certainly interested in my possible paranoia, but I'm really fucking afraid sometimes. As far as I know, nobody died in this house, nothing tragic happened in it. But some of this stuff is really freaky sometimes, and once again, I might be overthinking things and being paranoid. So what do you guys think? I'm really being paranoid, or is there something weird going on in this household? 4. 2 days ago, I moved in with my friend, who bought the house I used to live in when I was 14 to 18 years old. During that time, my sister and I had experienced so many unexplainable and paranormal happenings, like seeing the same shadow person, things moving on their own, etc. It became our favorite thing to stay up late at night and to talk about it and whatever shenanigans it got up to that day, and we'd always say, "Look, now that we're talking about it, it will start acting up." And sure enough, we'd see a shadow walk down the hallway or something would be knocked off a counter. Well, now that you've had a bit of backstory, last night my boyfriend and I were chilling in the house by ourselves, and I started telling him about the paranormal stuff that used to happen, and I said, "Watch, now that I'm talking about it, it's going to start acting up again." And not even 10 minutes later, the sink in the kitchen turned on by itself. We were in the living room, and all of a sudden we hear water trickling, and when we went to investigate, the faucet was turned all the way on. It's the type that has a lever that you have to push up on, so whatever did that had to have forced it up, against gravity. So yeah, now that I'm back in the house, I'm curious to see what new paranormal adventures it will bring me. Wish me luck. The house isn't old, I don't think anyone has ever died in it, and the property isn't a Native American burial ground. Which is all kind of boring and holds no explanation for any stuff that's happened. However, most of the comments refer to this as peaceful and coexisting, which, to be fair, it is amusing and not very scary, at least for me. I've lived in a way creepier and violent haunted house before, but there definitely have been some pretty unnerving and creepy occurrences. Just to list a couple. I was attacked once in this house in my bed by a very large, very frightening shadow person. Before it attacked me, I got a very random yet terrifying thought of, "It's here," in my head. And when I turned over in my bed, it was standing in the corner. Then I watched as it approached me slowly and climbed on top of me, sitting on my chest, trying to suffocate me. Another time, it threw a hairdryer at my sister who was walking down the hallway. As she passed the bathroom, the hairdryer hit her in the head. The sheer pain and panic it caused her scared me worse than the actual event. And for one more, my other little sister saw the same shadow man in her bedroom, the one I'm staying in now. It was leaning against her dresser looking at her, and as she realized what it was, it moved towards her. As it moved towards her, the empty soda can she had sitting on her bedside table scooted across the table at her. That's when she jumped out of bed and ran into my room begging me to let her sleep in the bed with me. Of course I let her. She was terrified and crying. So maybe there's more than one entity in the house, and one is obviously more violent and evil than the other. Either way, I'm here now. Might as well make the best of it and document everything that happens. Thanks for listening. 5. So, for some background, I live in Northern Oregon. The building I work in is part of a large strip mall complex of buildings. The piece of building we're in has been around for a long time. I'm not sure on how long, but I know it's been a while. To start off, almost all the employees have a story about this place, ranging from I heard a weird noise to I saw a guy. But I'm going to tell my personal experiences first. When I first started working here, it felt pretty normal. I sometimes feel really sensitive to other energies in the area. It makes me a great reader of people. But in a place where you can see 100 plus people a day, it's pretty standard for me. For the first few months, I saw nothing weird. Once I really started getting into my upper level training after a month or so, then I noticed a few things. First, if you're opening, you're going to hear a little call bell for the back of house staff. There won't be anything near the button to lean on or push it. The more you react to it, the more likely it'll happen again. Second, you will hear sounds like someone trying to open the door before you're open. It's just how it goes. Spirit is impatient, I guess. Third, if you turn on the music before you open, you can hear a man singing in the back. We open at 7, so I'm usually there between 6 to 6:30. And no one else near opens up before 9. Those all have to do with opening, but in day-to-day I've heard, seen, and experienced. When my advanced training was wrapping up, I was standing in the kitchen talking to my general store manager. We have big gallon jugs that can sit on top of the juice holders, for easy multitasking when stocking. Everyone does it and they fit sturdily up there. But one morning while we were talking, one of those gallon jugs not only falls off the juice holder, but flies across the kitchen to our feet, a good 6 to 7 foot distance, while I was joking about the place being haunted. The freezer door, no matter how well you prop it open, is going to close on you at least once while you work there. Sometimes the light will just decide to turn off as well, or it'll turn back on you after you've turned it off. Especially in the mornings and evenings when it's quiet, you can hear someone walking in the hall by the bathrooms, and sometimes it sounds like the bathroom doors open. At times, you'll hear what sounds like someone whistling to the store music. Again, in the mornings and evenings when someone's alone, sometimes you'll hear a kid bang in the back room, as if someone hit the ice machine or slammed its door. Those are all the things I've experienced, and for the most part, most of the staff has experienced at least one of these things. A couple girls, however, have actually seen around closing what appears to be a man, dressed in a nice suit, tall, dark hair, handsome, early 30s or late 20s, but he never speaks. One girl in particular has seen him a couple times, always right before close, and always she's going around the corner to the back, so that as she's coming back around the corner, anywhere from 30 seconds later, to an immediate turn around after line of sight is broken, he's gone. The door beeps as he's coming in. The door has to actually open for this to happen, but there's no second beep to signal he's left. When she first told me about her experience, she didn't give me any details about him, only that he was male. And I said, hold up, let me try to describe him. I described everything that I felt about him at this point correctly, except the young part. I said he feels like he's very old, and she was like, no, he was definitely young. I'm wondering if the ancient energy points to something malicious, or if maybe he's a byproduct of the building's history. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Paranormal Stories, episode 170. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Let me just check, does anyone want to shout out this episode? I don't think so. Nope, doesn't look like. Okay. Nope, not this episode. Okay. You know, I'm not sure if it's the weather, because it is quite chilly, raining right now outside, or if it's the spookiness, because I did get several chills while recording that video. Okay, just gonna keep this outro a bit short, because fiddles to do. I've got 15 more videos to record, and I'll get it done. Might be a little later than I planned, but I will get it done in time. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.